But what a lot of guys, I think, struggle with is that they connect everything to making a sale or monetizing every action that they go through. So yeah, providing value helps making more sales, but in essence, what I mean by providing value is
We got that mother.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I am here with the energy form of Robin Wesley, a man you may have no clue who the hell is this. You might have watched the video last week and be like, who the hell is this? You might have watched our videos and gone to a free masterclass and be like, who the hell is this guy? So we figure that it's time to pull back the curtain, so to speak, and finally put Robin on his own channel. After me getting many questions about if I am just HEATE myself, we figured it was time to pull back the curtain.
it was a good intro, man. Did you rehearse that?
In the shower 6 times. A lot. So I guess let's go the whole way back, because I feel like with everything we're doing, we're in a niche where credibility is king. People have a lot of questions. You know, the promises we're making, the things we're saying, they need credibility. So I guess we'll just go the whole way back to, what was it, 1997? You started selling beats online?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man,
It's been a while.
Go ahead. Where did it all start?
And for me, like making beats, I started off pretty late, man, to be honest. Like I was 16, 17 when I started playing piano.
Mm-hmm.
So that is already like pretty old. I used to rap before that. Did you believe that?
We need to find a clip of you rapping to insert.
Oh man, I got so many clips, man. If you put in the right search terms on YouTube, then you probably find something. No, but that's how I started off, like just writing music at first. 14 years old till like 16, just writing music, recording music. And then I started playing the piano at 17 or something, 16, 17. And soon after I started making beats, but I'm a musician, so I used to play in a band and we did like hip hop and rock shit. Mm-hmm. I'm like a total R&B guy, but for some reason I ended up in a hip hop rock band. Don't ask me how that went down, but it was a fun project. But I used to like produce music for that band. Mm-hmm. But at that point, I wasn't even aware of, selling beats at all. Or just, music production was totally new to me.
What year was that? So you said you were 16, 17 when you started getting into production. What year was that then?
So I'm from 91. So you do the math.
Why would you do that? I'm terrible.
Yeah.
You purposefully did that.
No, that was like 2007.
Okay.
2008 is when I started off, actually, playing music and playing with instruments and stuff.
Okay.
And then a couple of years later, 2010, 2011 is when I started off just producing music. And I learned about selling beats in 2011, 2012, mm-hmm. I think. But that's like the old days. That's freaking 10 years ago, man.
What was the landscape? So like, let's go into that, because I'm so curious, because like there's nothing really, like you have the articles on your website where like you talk about it, but there's no like real information of like what that was like. SoundClick was big back then. I think like SoundClick promo was like the #1 way to sell a beat. YouTube type beats were the Wild West.
Nah, that didn't even exist at that point. Nah, it was not. YouTube wasn't really the way to go for selling beats at all. It was just SoundClick, and it's so stupid, man. How that shit worked back then. It was very small. There were not that many producers out there selling beats. Mm-hmm. SoundClick was probably the only platform where you could, upload a beat and have some. Have people, basically buy your beat off of the platform without having to go through any manual stuff or just PayPal requests, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But that was like the SoundClick days. It was just like SoundClick. These days is not really relevant anymore, I guess. But what we did and it was all about promos. So you basically bought like advertisements, and that would get you either on the front page or on just the subcategories for the instrumentals. And those promos, they cost between like 20-30 bucks to 175, I think. And the 175 is what everyone wanted to get, because that was the front page, and it was always sold out for like the next 30 days. But every morning, or it's probably in the middle of the night, but for me it was morning, so at 6 a.m. it would reset, and then a new date would become available. So I literally had to get up like 5:30, sit behind the computer, and just wait for that new promo spot to open up. You just refresh the page, and then you have to be quick enough to get it. Otherwise someone else would, beat you to it. So it's really weird, but I got it a few times, and you did get like a lot of sales back then on SoundClick, because there was not that much competition at that point. And just that way of getting your stuff out there just really helped, because it wasn't necessarily the advertisement that did the work. It was more that the advertisement put you up in the top of the charts. That's how it worked. So if you got one front page ad at that point, then the next day you were guaranteed to be in the top 5 off of tens of thousands of beats. And that would bring in sales. And then there were other ways to promote, and just but it was all about a chart system. So basically ranking your stuff up there. And then it was still like a very amateuristic vibe. And then came my Flash Store, Airbit now, but they started out as my Flash Store. So they basically made like these pages. You got like a pro page right now, right? But back then you had like the SoundClick page, and it was like all HTML. You had to design that. You could get like a designer to make it for you. There were literally guys out there that did nothing but just making SoundClick pages for producers. And you could embed that Flash Store then from Airbit. And that's how there was the first real way of making a sale and making sure that they got delivered to the customer right away. Because through the SoundClick method, people would just place an order, they will pay you, and then every morning I would have to see like, okay, who paid me money to get what beat, and then I had to send them all the beats manually, what they got, plus a license agreement. That's why it was like so amateuristic.
So like you had you had like contracts on the standby that you then have to go in and just essentially like fill out the name, date.
Bro, it wasn't even a contract, man. It was like 500 words, 400 words, I think. Like, this is what you can do, this is what you cannot do, and this is protected under copyright law. that was it. And then we could send out to everyone. It wasn't even personalized or anything. So it was definitely not legit, not how it's supposed to go down. But it worked.
So then at what point did you have this revelation about marketing within your own production career?
Pretty soon after. Like, for me, it was like very hard to get those first sales at all. Like, for me, it took like several years before I figured out how all the stuff worked. And because SoundClick was basically the only way to sell beats, you had to learn how the platform worked. And it was a mess. It's still a mess, to be honest, but you just didn't know how it worked. And there were a couple guys that knew how to do it. Funny thing is, some of them are from the Netherlands as well, but no one would help me out because that was like the secret, right? So I had to figure that out, and it took me like a couple months before I figured out how it all worked with the promos and everything. And then I guess when I started making money off of that, I just invested more and more money into promo spots, and that was basically all the marketing that I did. And then a couple 2 years later, I think 2014 or something like that, when I made some good sales. That's when I was like, there should be other ways to do this. And slowly YouTube came along, and I started uploading on YouTube. And type beats weren't that big yet, so it was very easy for me for the first videos to get like 100,000 views or 200 or 300,000 views. So that's how I started off with beats on YouTube. So that was like a new way for me to get exposure and to sell beats. In terms of marketing, the only thing that I started looking into was basically email marketing. but also in a very amateuristic way at that point.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, so then I guess so I read an article that actually Chris did. So Chris is another co-founder of HEATE.
Right.
And so Chris did an article of like a founder story of where you were collecting data. And this is literally the same freaking survey we have in the course.
Yeah.
I think this is like so hilarious to me. It's like you've been the same survey for like the past like almost 10 years now at this point. And
Probably.
So I guess why collect that data in the first place?
You know, that came long after, man, to be honest. You know what I did at first? I uploaded the beat on YouTube, and I would tell people like, put your email address in the comments and I'll send you a free beat. And what I did was, people actually commented their email address. So I grabbed the email address, I manually put that into like an email program. You couldn't even, it was not even an email marketing software thing or whatever. It was just a tool to help send out mass emails. I would manually put that in, and that's how I would send out beats to people. I didn't even follow up with them or whatever. The data part came like long after, like a year or two after that. I was like, okay, you could actually do more and more stuff with this, and that's when I really dove into, real internet marketing stuff. I had like this phase where you are in, right now, the past 2 years, just looking into all these different ways on how to do marketing, like trying out all these different things to just build something, right? I went through that same phase. Like I started reading like lots of books and just articles and, looking into how other businesses operate. And it took me like a year or a year and a half just to research stuff, because there was nothing out there for specifically selling beats, right? So I looked up ways to like rank on Google, do email marketing and stuff. And I would look up case studies of other types of businesses, and just I had to translate that to my business and, see how I could fit their marketing strategies for their digital products into my product. So it was a long way of, researching first and then looking into how can I actually apply that knowledge to my business. So it was a very long and dreadful process for me to get into professionally marketing my stuff.
Interesting. So I heard the same thing actually in the interview I did yesterday with Devin, Prod by Infinite's going up today. So He was talking about how with his YouTube content and with like what he's doing now on social media is he just looked at other industries and like how Twitch streamers would post like Twitch clips of their live stream reactions. He did the same thing for like reacting to his subscribers' beats, and they got like 6 million views. And so the next question I asked him is kind of, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? And I know what you're gonna say, but I did a poll on Instagram, and a lot of producers either said like not yet or like that's corny. And so my question to you is, what kind of like struck you finally that was like, okay, like I'm an entrepreneur or like to be in this creative space, you have to do more than just upload and hope. Like what gave you a spark of like, I'm selling this product that like I need to reach people and find out the ways to market it, and I can't just hope on like a YouTube or the SoundClick promo?
I think it's the same for everyone else. Like I love making music. I love doing that, and I want to do that full time. I was still working. I went to school back then. I had like a full-time job, so I had to do everything on the side. And the more I got into music production, the more I basically fell in love with it. And being able to monetize those skills, like that's what everyone wants, right? That's just making your dreams come true. And for me, like I was like the first time I started working with people, it wasn't really about the sales. Of course the sales help motivate as well, but just seeing other people from like all over the globe use your music and turn that into a song. And like I had this one song, it was like 2014, from this guy from Czech Republic, and that was like the first song that got like major views on YouTube, but he also got on radio and stuff. And I was like, damn, I just made this, and this guy used this to make like a hit song in his country, in his language, so no one would probably know it. But for me, that was like, damn, okay, this could work. And that was the most motivating for me, like being able to see other people use your music, turn it into a song. That's what I wanted to do. So that was basically my motivation to really go all in on selling beats.
What year did you go full time? Like quit every other job you had, and just like make the living from music?
2016 is when I quit my job, but it was kind of crazy. Like I lived like a very unhealthy lifestyle back then. But I was working like a full-time job, but I was making music, and that's what I did at nights. And I also played shows, and especially in 2016, I played like 80 shows. So there was like every weekend I would go out for shows. I would work at least 40 to 50 hours a week, just my day job. At night I would be in the studio and everything. And at some point I was like, I cannot do this any longer. I need to make a decision. But I was very I'm a very ambitious person, you know. So if I do something, then I want to go all in, and I want to make the best out of it, and I want to be the best in it. So I was working, believe it or not, I was working as a logistics manager. And I was pretty young at that point. I was like 25, and then I worked my way up from being an intern at the company for like 7 years, and then the last 2 years that I worked there, I was like the head of the logistics department. And at that point, I was like, damn, I got a good job. You know, I'm still young. Everything is going well. I got this side business, but it was just a little too much. And the other thing was, because I'm so ambitious, I'm always looking for, you know, reaching that next level, just, you know, setting my goals. And when you get to them, then you set new goals. It's just, you know, how life works. But at that point, I became like the logistics manager at that company at 25. There was nothing left for me to work towards. You know, I could not become like the CEO of that company at 25. It's just not realistic, you know. And I was also like, you know, this is not my path. So I'm especially with everything that was going on at that point, and me being so busy with music, whether that's the selling beats part or just, you know, doing the shows. I was like, I'm just gonna do this full time. So there was one thing, like, here in the Netherlands, like, stuff is kind of crazy with getting mortgages and stuff. So basically me and my girlfriend, we went out, and, you know, we bought a house, and because you can only buy a house if you got like a full-time salary and stuff, not as a business owner. So we got a house, and literally the day that we signed the papers, I went to my boss and I was like, yo, out of here. And they're like, what? You just bought a house, man. You got this job, you got like a good salary, you're still young, you worked like all these years to get up here, and now you're leaving. So like, it was chaos then, because everyone wanted to get involved. It was like my parents and just my friends and family, even my colleagues at that point. They were like, yo, I need to talk to you, man. Can I come over? And people were like, are you sure you're making the right decision with this? I'm like, yeah, I figured it out, and I got it all, you know, it's all set, so I'm good. And it was actually funny, because the guy that hired me was like an old man. There was the owner of that company that I worked for. And he was like the typical business owner, like old school. Yeah. And he was like, yo, I want to talk to you. So I had to come over late at night to his house, which was kind of strange. Yeah. Because he wanted to talk to me. He was like, yo, I heard that you wanted to quit. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do my business. I'm going to build a music business. And he was like, yeah, I just want to check in with you, see if, you know, you're making the right decision before you, you know, throw this all away. So I sat there with this old guy that's been running a business for like 40 years. And I showed him everything I've been doing. And I showed him some of the profits that I was making. And he was like, okay, man, you're good. You can go. Yeah, you got this figured out. And so, and at that point, he started, you know, telling other colleagues, and people around me started getting aware of stuff being pretty serious, and then I, got my stuff figured out.
Hmm.
It was all good, but it was a very strange and stressful period. I guess it was like a different life for me.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
So I guess, no, I'd never heard that. No, I don't think I've ever heard that story, at least that in depth before. So that's really
I've talked about it in like I talk about it in the course as well, parts of it, because I learned a lot there,
Yeah.
especially in like an actual, well, we got an actual company too, but in an actual, big business that's in a different niche. Like this was construction, for example. It's like, it's hard out there. So you learn a lot of skills that I, later on apply to my own business.
Hmm.
So in those 9 years that I worked there, I learned so many different things that I can still apply today, whether that's, just communication stuff, sales, whatever, finances, all the stuff that I had to do up there.
Hmm.
I still take advantage of that today within our company.
So let's talk about that then, because so right now we're HEATE. Before HEATE, we were Urban Masterclass. That was
Were
before.
you here when we were still Urban Masterclass, by the way?
I was
No.
an affiliate. I was just an affiliate.
Yeah.
So to
yeah,
give
right.
this is where things get super, super messy for everybody. Is like, so the HEATE channel was originally a personal channel about me trying to sell beats online. And I guess we'll kind of work our way up to that. So before Urban Masterclass even became, before we had a course for producers, you actually had a course for artists. And I read, there's a story out there where I think Chris did an interview with a founder company or something about that. And, how did that come about, and why didn't that ever go to fruition of what you wanted that to become?
It's funny. Yeah. So the first course that we made was 0 to Radio Ready. And that was basically a music production course that was, more focused on how to write songs and how to produce songs. So not beats.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys mistake that course for being a music production course. It is, but it's not about how to make beats.
Yeah.
But the reason we started off with that idea, that failed, by the way, but I was working with all these artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably gonna sound familiar to lots of producers, but not every song is that good. It's a lot of garbage that you get to hear from people in your music.
Mm-hmm.
And I always took that. I was like offended sometimes what people did to my music. I was like, how do you do this? And I always try to help people out.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the course, I talk about, building relationships and just talking with people. That's a strategy that came about from me just being myself and talking with artists on like the creative level. Just try to help them out, make better music, because I don't want them to use my beats and turn it into a shitty song. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so there's definitely there's like resources needed for artists, for writers, for young artists to help them, just get proper recordings.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a very basic course that talked about how music is produced, and it's about like how to record and how to structure out your song and how to do harmonies and how to do vocal production stuff. Because there was a stuff that I was doing on the side of making beats, just working with artists, working with bands, recording stuff in the studio. So I was like, okay, I'm going to turn this into a course because people obviously need this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought. So we started off with that whole project, and it was the first course that I did, and I hate making videos, to be honest. We did a whole course, but I hate making videos.
Yeah.
It's not really my thing. And at that point, it just didn't really feel natural. So it took me like 3 months to record like 40 or 35 videos and edit them all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very good course, to be honest. A lot of people now still use it, but I think we were kind of like too early at that point, because we launched that course and we always try to how do I say this? Make sure that it's gonna sell once we put it out there. So we need to validate basically the idea. Mm. So I pitched it to my subscribers, to my previous customers, and some of them were like really excited, like, yeah, I need this stuff and I really want to learn from you. So we made some sales.
Mm-hmm.
before the course was made.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, damn, now I actually need to
Now I have
make
to
this
do it.
course. Yeah. So we did that, and then we launched it, and the guys and girls that did get it in the pre-order, they were like really excited about it, and I started following up with them. But other people, not so much. They were like, I don't need this. I got this. I'm like, I can do this on my own. You know
Mm-hmm.
how artists can be, right? So it was like I spent so much time and effort into that course, and then people were like, I don't need this. No, I got this. And I was like, you do need this. You don't got this. It's not on level,
Mm-hmm.
But what I learned back then is like you can't really change people's beliefs, I guess. If they believe that their stuff is good enough, it's very hard to tell them because it is criticism at first, and then you have to sell them a product. So the thing that we didn't really think through at that point was that we first had to convince people that their music is not up to level. Then we had to sell them a product. It was just not really working out. So a lot of people were not interested in that course, and for some it was just too far-fetched, I guess, for where they were at that point. And the funny thing is, like, we didn't make a lot of sales back then.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the years, that course is like 2017 or 18. Through the years, we're selling more and more of that course because now it's almost like we were a little bit too early at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now people are like, okay, I actually need to upgrade the quality of my music. I need a course for this.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily we have that. So there are still people buying that course today. Like, that's crazy, but
it just never really, I think too, it just never really had like a proper marketing. There was never like any scale to it of like content marketing or anything. And you've always been the organic guy. So like you guys probably never ran ads for it either, I would imagine.
Not really. Nah, we did some retargeting ads for that. We did try some marketing stuff for it. We got, email sequences, all funnels, but it was just not market fit. The audience wasn't really matching our product and the other way around. So it was doomed to fail. We just didn't see it at that point.
Yeah, I think the one quote, you mentioned beliefs, and it was like the one quote I've heard is like people never question the beliefs that they truly believe, because it's never like you would never question something you really believe. And so like that's exactly what you said. Like first you have to essentially attack their ego of like your music is shit and you need fixed, and people don't want to face that. And so
true.
So then after that course, you were like, let's do another one.
No, that's not how it went. I was done with all the courses.
So then now when you released Zero to Radio Ready, was that under just Robin Wesley, or was that under the Urban Masterclass name yet?
That was basically that's under Urban Masterclass, but that idea came later.
Okay.
So it was my idea to do that course, and then me and Chris were like, let's just set up a different company for that, so it's not directly attached to my beat selling business.
Okay. So then how did the beat selling course come along then?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't really like doing videos, so it wasn't really our intention to do a course about selling beats at all. And this is actually a cool story, especially if you put it in context with the previous one, because in this case, I start talking about my business, talking about selling beats, and or writing about it with different reasons. Like I just like to write. I used to write a lot. I used to write music when I was younger. I like to write articles, and that's basically how I learned stuff. I read something, I write about it. That's how I learned it. So I wrote the story about my business and how I build it for selling beats. And the reason why I wrote that was because my girlfriend was pregnant at the time, and I was like, I need to put this down. I want to put this in writing, because I always wanted to write a book. Till this day, I haven't wrote a book, by the way, but it's still one of my goals. So I was like, I need to write this down. So I started writing the whole story about, me, my business, selling beats, and just how I went about it, and including the story about just, working a full-time job, going to school. And I was talking with Chris about it. And he was like, yo, this is actually good stuff, man. We should put this on our masterclass and just, put some content out there. We'll just see how it goes, So I switched it up a little bit to make it more focused towards producers, so they could, identify themselves within the story, obviously. So I wrote that and we put it out there. And, that's the article that so many producers have read by now. If you
Uh-huh.
if you Google how to sell beats, that's the #1 article that pops up, I think. But that really kicked things off in the right way, because there was no intention to do a product at that point or a course. And it was just, putting valuable information out there. And we got a lot of responses to that from other producers who were like, yo, this is gold. Like, I didn't know anything that you said in this article. Nowadays, a lot more information is accessible, but at that stage, a lot of information was not accessible. People were very secretive about it.
Mhm.
So for me, putting it out there was very appreciated by a lot of producers because it was so transparent. And a lot of guys reached out to us. They want to learn more. They want to do like a consulting calls, or and then they ask for a course. And we were like, okay, should we really do this? And me and Chris talked about it, and we're like, yeah, okay, this is the right way, because now we didn't have the intention to build a course. We actually get people to ask us to make a course.
Mhm.
We see the responses from people, so there is definitely a market for this, and it's resources that people need. So, and that's basically what builds a business, like solving a problem that is actually out there, not
Yeah.
a problem that you have to tell people that they have that problem.
You know, where we're at right now, some people still need to be told that problem is there.
True. Yeah. But it was so much easier.
Yeah.
So that's when we started doing the whole course. And it just started off with like a couple of videos. And we did do the same thing. So we tried to validate the product first. So we reached out to lots of producers, like if they were interested in the course, even before I started making any videos, they could pre-order it for like a reduced price. And we got like so many sales at that point. We're like, okay, this is good.
Mhm.
So we were like, okay, now it's time to get this course done. So I started diving into my business and just, making templates out of everything and just going through every step of the way, and, trying to keep in mind that some people start from scratch. Some people are a little, more advanced, I guess.
Mhm.
So yeah, we started doing the whole course stuff, and that's what became the constant conversion strategy, basically.
Interesting. So now, fast forward a couple of years. We'll bring it about speed. So then, let's see, I started my channel in June of 2020. So that was right, like, at the peak of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on in terms of your business at that time? When I mean, we didn't know each other at the time. Like, what was going on, I guess, 2020 for you? Like, what was that year like with the pandemic happening? Were beat sales up? Were course sales up? Kind of, what was the vibe there?
It was crazy, man. Especially in the first lockdowns.
Mhm.
Like, it was like everyone was like, I got time now. Let's do a course, or let's make this album that I've been wanting to make for like so many years.
Mhm.
I still remember it. Like, I had like 3 albums that I did from production. Well, I didn't actually produce it. They just took beats from my beat store.
Mhm.
And then, but mixing and mastering and just post-production stuff. And I did like, I don't know, 60 songs that year, which for me is a lot because I do that aside from making the beats, right?
Mhm.
And other stuff. So I did like 60 songs, mixing and mastering. Beat sales were going up, obviously, because people were working on projects. Course sales were going up as well at that point. And, that's when things for us, like we were with 4 guys
Mhm.
at that stage. Most of them were working for me on the beat selling side of things. And that's when we're like, okay, we could really use some help with this. And that's when when our paths crossed, I guess. I think it was through like this other guy, right?
Yeah. So
What's his name?
Anthony.
Anthony.
So
Anthony. Yeah.
I don't.
Shout out to Anthony.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in so long. I kind of feel like a dickhead for not talking to him in so long. But so let's see. At the time, I was actually trying to learn SEO, and wherever I went for either, because at the time I was making producer videos, but also trying to sell beats at the same time. I was like, anywhere I went in those 2 topics, it was just you. And so anyways, Anthony hit me up about like Facebook ads, and he was like, could you help me? I was like, 100%, let's just like get in a call and talk. I got in calls with Anthony, and he was like, have you heard about this Robin Wesley guy? And I was like, yeah, I've heard a few articles. And I don't know was he just like hitting you up? Were you in calls with him? Because it just sounded like he was like easily accessing to talk to you.
No, that was because we were so busy. He was in a course as well.
Yeah.
So he was a student.
Mm-hmm.
And back then I was the one running the community and everything. So I pretty much wasn't stuff that you're doing right now. That's what I was doing back then. So, it was me talking to every single new producer that came in. And because we needed help and we had some ideas that we wanted to start working on, we spoke to Anthony because he could possibly help us out. So that's how we got like a pretty short line of contact, because we were actually trying to see if we could work with him and his partner to help us out with the business. But then you came.
I guess I have it here. So I started out as an affiliate of just promoting the course. I guess, why me? Why, like, I mean, we had the connection there with Anthony, but like there were other people at the time making videos about beat selling. I guess mine were all more focused on beat selling, but like, why did you essentially feel comfortable in bringing me in on this brand? Like something that you built for like the past 4 years, like, hey, this guy's been making videos
said
for
this
6 months. Let's do it.
Yeah, I've said this so many times. You were like the guinea pig, you still are the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Just trying out stuff. And that's what I really liked about your videos, because it was honest content, just being transparent. I like being transparent within content. And obviously, like clickbait titles, they work, and you need to learn some skills in terms of copywriting and scripting in your case. But I just like the fact that you were just putting yourself out there, like, I'm going to start selling beats and I'm going to document the whole journey, whether it works or not. And I watched some of your videos, and some things I could easily tell you, like, this is not going to work, but the fact that you just did it and you documented that and you put it out there and you were like, okay, it didn't work, or it did work, or this is how it went. I really liked that part of it. So it wasn't about, look at me, I made this much money selling beats. It was like, look at me, I just tried 16 different things and only one of them worked,
It's like, welcome to the game.
Yeah, that's basically how we are as well. I told you this many times, like, I recognize myself within you at this stage, like for how I was when I was younger. Just trying out all these different things and just being creative with your marketing stuff and with your videos. In your case, I didn't like videos, but I'm just as creative in other areas, I guess. So but that's what I recognized in you. So we were like, okay, let's just see what we can do, and it worked out, right?
Yeah, it did work out. It worked out. It was super interesting, just like to build up the community and everything we have now. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about like what essentially these past 4 months have been, because to top it all off, in May we signed a contract that would go to the end of the year in December. And it was just with how like logistics of the business were working. I mean, you guys have been in this for 5 years now, right? Yeah, about 5 years of the beat selling course. And maybe we'll have to cut this out, but I know you texted me of like, when we first started back up in March or late February, you're like, I need to be comfortable this isn't $1 million business, so to speak.
Yeah.
And in December, we essentially were going to stop all organic content. I mean, I literally got a job at a marketing company for like a month. And you're like,
we can
sure?
talk about this. Like it's all about transparency, right?
Yeah.
True. And for some people that may watch this video, they're like, yo, where did that guy went? And that would be producers and artists, because people have been reaching out to me for months now, like, where are you? I've been off the grid, to be honest. This, I don't mind talking about it. For me, let's just go back a little further than the past 4 months. For me, last year was it just all got too much in terms of everything that I did. And like I said, I lived a very unhealthy lifestyle for a long time, and most of what was unhealthy about it was just putting in too many hours and just stretching myself too thin, working on so many different ideas and projects. So I got some health issues last year where it wasn't a mental health issue. Not really. I'm happy to do work. I love what I do. It was more physical thing where I got like a lot of physical issues that just kept me from being productive, getting out there. And I went to the doctors and it was like, yeah, obvious case of a burnout. And and they were like, yo, so how, what's your life like? And I was like, well, I got 2 companies. I work like 60 hours a week. I do shows in the weekend. So, I sleep 3-4 hours every night. Okay, so how long have you been doing this? Past 10 years, I think. And it's been worse,
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, yeah, no shit. And everyone around me was also like,
No shit.
this was bound to happen. This because I'm the guy, like, stop fucking around, just get to work. And that's basically how people know me. I'm always working, I'm always busy. I feel like taking a break is a waste of your time. I don't feel like that anymore, but that's how I felt. Me not putting in some work, whether that's making beats, working on a business, or just working at all, felt like a waste of time to me. So yeah, that caught up with me. So I was basically forced to step down and just take some rest. So and how that reflected on Urban Masterclass / HEATE was like, I really looked into the stuff that I was doing. I was like, hey, I need to cut something out of my life.
Yeah, you got priorities.
It's priorities.
Yeah,
exactly. And and within those priorities, I also got a family. I got a kid, so I had to think about how can I sustain and provide without stretching myself too thin. So something needs to be cut out. So that's when I was like, Urban Masterclass is it's been fun, but it's so stressful in terms of the work that comes with it.
Yeah.
And the goals that we had at that point, that I was like, yo, maybe we should just kill this business. And not because I don't want to help people anymore, or I don't want to, because I was never planning to take stuff offline or not selling the course anymore, providing help and information. I just wanted to scale it down in terms of the workload. So whatever comes in, comes in. But for me, it was Urban Masterclass. And, we sold a bunch of courses, but for me, I've never had to rely on those sales, luckily, because I had my other business and my other activities as a musician. So for me, it was just money that we took and reinvested, whether that's in you, in other people. And at the end of the day, I was like, fuck, I built this business for like, 4 years, 3 to 4 years. I haven't even took a cent out of it.
Yeah. That's
not healthy, So why am I actually doing this? Yeah, because you love helping out people, working on stuff with, the guys in here and you, and just, marketing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I didn't even get the profit off of it. So what am I spending my time on? Talk about a waste of time in that sense, if you're talking about priorities, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, okay, maybe we should kill this business. We didn't.
I constantly make the joke. I got some things to go back here, but I constantly make the joke of, so like what happened on my timeline of things, like at the end of December, we kind of just like we're like, okay, we're not going to put out any more content, but with how YouTube, how the blog ranks, like people are bound to find the content because there's so much out there. We're already established. YouTube's a never like revolving door. People are going to keep on searching for this stuff. And it was like, okay, like we're not just going to delete everything and just stop. Like if somebody gets in the course and has an issue, like, oh, boo-hoo, cry me a river, figure it out. It's like, no, like we'll provide support for people who buy the course, but we're not going to go out of our way to make this new content and keep up with all these different expenses for all this ads tracking that we were running at the time. It was just like, if you get in the course and you have a problem or you have a question, we'll be there. But we're not going to do the same thing. And so at that time, I got a job at a marketing agency. And I was like, I learned a lot about marketing from Robin. I was like, I feel I'll be pretty good at this job. And then the job, they were like, okay, so a computer is going to replace you in probably a year. And also, we're going to monitor every single thing you do down to the minute. And I remember texting you, I was like, I hate this. I was like, dude, and so I was like, in my head, for like my personal story of this, I was like, I have so much knowledge that I learned from you that I'm learning by myself, working with different people outside of music, that like I know I could bring into the music space. Like I have so much in my freaking head. I was like, I just want to get this out there with the sole intention that like this will help somebody get out of the pain that I was in myself, essentially. And so before, to give you more like insight, is we like never wanted to post like short form content on our YouTube channel because I was always worried about like the watch time and the view duration, all this stuff. And so I was like, screw it. And I just started making these videos for fun. I made like a 45-minute Canva slideshow presentation about growing a social media as a producer. And it had such a positive thing. And I was like, okay, like people are rocking with this. So I think, and then it's just, I went for it for like a month. And then I just kind of just like saw the spark in you of like, okay, like, let's try it again. Let's bring it back. We're still going to keep it. We're not really doing much in terms of.
Nah, I mean, we're still keeping
anything.
it like bootstrap,
Yeah.
you know, in terms of all extra activities. Like we got our core activities, you know, content, support, helping out producers, but not more than that. What I mean by that is like a lot of stuff, you know, people like I don't even expect people to know this, but and some may forget about it, but there's like so much going on behind the scenes of running such a business. Like at a very low scale, like it's manageable with one person easily. But at a bigger scale, and in a bigger scale, that doesn't have to necessarily mean more profits, more revenue. A bigger scale is what I mean is like an actual content plan, a content game, getting your stuff out there, than running ads and just tracking everything. Just only tracking conversions, for example, takes up so much time, you know. And then comes the whole finance part of it, and just, you know, overall accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So much that goes on beyond what people see, I guess,
Yeah.
that we just really needed to like make more bootstrap. It just narrow it down to only the necessary stuff for how we can run it properly. And I believe that we're at that stage right now where we're, you know, got a pretty solid system running without us having to, you know, go through all the hassle that we used to have to go through in terms of, you know, just the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I want to talk about too that I didn't know until you told me, or no, I guess it was in the course I figured it out. Rujay. So like, what's the relationship with you and Rujay? Because this is something like nobody really knows anything about unless they come into the course.
True. I don't like being very detailed about that, to be honest. I talk about it in the course because I know a lot of people have questions about it, and lots of people mistake me for Rujay sometimes as well, and I don't think that's fair to him. So but basically the relationship between me and Rujay is that he runs his beats business and his YouTube channel, and I basically run the day-to-day stuff for him. So that means managing his finances, his sales, the support emails, copyright issues, stuff like that is what me or the guys that, you know, work for me take care of. And that's the business side of things. But me and Rujay, we go way back. Like we started off around the same time, I guess, and we connected. I don't even know how. I think it was through SoundClick or something like that. And he's been and still is always been a fan of my music because he's like a little older as well, so he likes the old school R&B stuff. So that's where we found some common ground, and we were like both struggling when we met selling beats. Like, how do we do this? How do we get more sales? And then we would like call every month and be like, yo, how many sales did you get? Yeah, I got this many sales. You're like, you know, like two teenagers talking about how their week went or how their experiments went, because that was what we were doing basically, each in our own segments. Like he started focusing on YouTube, and he's very successful now on YouTube. I started focusing more on content marketing in terms of SEO and Google rankings, and I got successful in that as well. So we went two different routes, and it's And it's funny because like a few years later, when we didn't really speak that much anymore, we were like, yo, we actually did pretty well. You know, he got this, I got that. And he always wanted to learn more from me. And it was very obvious that he needed help with some things in the management part of his business, because his business is basically centered around promoting other producers' beats and just, you know, taking a commission off of the sales, right? But that comes with a lot of work. So producers can submit their beats to Rujay, then he selects it. All he does is listen to the beats, and I got all systems set up and funnels set up to make sure that all the producers go through the correct routes. So contracts are signed, everyone's agreed to the terms of, you know, him uploading, splitting the sales and everything. And that's what we manage. And that comes with, you know, day-to-day issues, obviously. And that's what I got like another guy for that helps out the support stuff for his business. So that's basically what we've been doing for, I think we started off in 2019, 20.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Damn,
so we're basically partners.
The one thing I want to talk about is everybody always asks, how do I provide value? Especially because like I do want to acknowledge that you also were an artist. Still are, like you're in a band. You also had more experience, you know.
I wouldn't really consider myself that kind of artist, but I get what you mean. Yeah.
You have more exposure to the artist side of things. And so I think for a lot of producers where they struggle with value is, how do I provide value on the other side of the table? And I mean, I think it's always easier said than done to like start learning more about an artist, but like is that really like the answer, or like how do you define providing value?
Okay, so the issue with that question is that a lot of people think that it is a way to make money. You know, that, oh, you need to provide value so you can make a sale. You know, take that bit out of it, forget about the sale, just provide value, be natural, you know, just go into conversation with people. Like if you're a producer, then you must love working with artists, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you like making beats, but working with artists is part of the whole creative process as well. Focus on that. But what a lot of guys, I think, struggle with is that they connect everything to making a sale or monetizing every action that they go through. So yeah, providing value helps making more sales, but in essence, what I mean by providing value is, I always we got a lot of guys here, right? And I always tell them like, I'm planting seeds. I did that with you too, for example, right? I'm gonna be honest with you right now. Like I told them like I'm no, but this is just how it's not with bad intentions, but I plant seeds everywhere, you know? So for example, you were just an affiliate. Then we started talking about things and I started asking you legit questions like, you know, where do you see yourself in a couple of years? I still do that from time to time. Like, how do you see the next 6 months, right? We talk about that all the time because I want to get communicate with you in that way. Yeah. Because it goes deeper than, yo, how did your week went? Or for an artist, yo, how is it with your music? You know, when you ask the right questions and communicate on a different level, that's more genuine, I guess. This is not going to sound genuine, but for me, it's about planting seeds. Yeah. And what I mean by that is it's very easy for me to step into a next topic when I've already planted that seed with you, for example, right? So let's say we talked about, you know, what's your plan for the upcoming months? What are you going to work on? You got this job. Like I offered you, remember last year when you started working that other job, I offered you to work for us on a different project, right? And I told you that there may be an option to, you know, do some work on other stuff that we got going on here as an alternative to you. Even though you didn't take me up on that offer and you chose the other job, at the end of the day, you came back to start working on this again. So you went your own personal journey and it ended up right back here.
Right back to you.
Yeah. So with providing value to artists, like just talking with them and just more that, what's the best way to explain this? So I got an example, right? There's this girl, and I haven't spoke to her in a while, but she was like one of my best customers. She also bought this Zero to Radio Ready course, by the way, that no one bought, but she did. She emailed me like every week. Yo, I got this new idea I want to run by you. And the ideas went from a song idea to a whole business idea that she wanted to discuss with me. So the conversation was totally open. And at the same time, everything that she did, she came back to me because she wanted to learn my advice. Now she's running a YouTube channel on responding to foreign music or something like that with her husband or whatever. They got like their own vlog style stuff going on. It's not about music anymore. Anyway, but we got to a point where we were like talking about so many different things aside from music. But every time that she wanted to do music, she was like, yo, I need to go to Robin because I need to get beats. I need to get this. I need to get that. And that's just one girl, but I have conversations with a lot of people about different things. So when they need something, then they come back to you. And whether that is something that you got to offer them or it's just a piece of advice, it's a different way of communicating with people and connecting. It's networking, you know, that's literally networking. So it's providing value isn't about just the communication part or giving something to people. It's the skill of being able to network with people and build that network out so that it's easy for you to get in touch with the right people, just as easy as it is for other people to know what my skill set is to reach out to me. Like, people don't know everything I'm doing. You don't even know everything I'm doing, but I'm doing so many different other projects on the side, you know. Like last week I started doing a Photoshop editing for my band. I did like the whole branding, the logos in Photoshop, Illustrator and stuff. Skills that I started developing a couple months ago, telling people what I was doing. Now I'm getting not actually jobs because it's for my own company as well. But it's very easy now. People see that, they're like, yo, who did this? I did this. Oh, okay, so you do that too. Yeah, okay. Now I get other people, hey, can you do my cover art? Can you do this? Can you do that? So it's building skills, networking with the right people, and just stay in contact with them. It's so easy. It's so easy for me at this point, even if like every business fails, and I got like, I can pull up my phone and just call whoever I want. No, that's exaggerated. Not whoever I want, but I can just pick out someone that, you know, do you have something for me? Can I do something? There's something else that I want to mention. It's basically the HEATE company as it is right now, because you're part in it. You know, you're the face of the HEATE company. Congratulations, you took over from me. I'm so glad you did. No, but seriously, like you came on. The goal for us, or our intention with you, was we saw in you that you had the skills to become the face, you know, of the company. And I didn't want to be the face anymore. But I don't think people fully understand the company HEATE at this point, because I get that it may be confusing for some people. They see your face, but you know, I'm the co-founder, that's Chris. So, you know, there's like there are more people involved, right? So it's you, it's me, it's Chris, the other co-founder. Then we got Merlino, that does stuff on the side, and he works part-time here at the office. Then we got Mija, who you don't talk to that much, but he's basically my assistant. And he helps me out with the Rujay stuff, but he also helps out with our finances, for example. So you don't have to worry about that. So basically, like, the company HEATE is like, you know, what is it? It's like 5 people, 6 in total. Even though people only see your face, you know, there's so much more going on behind the scenes. So we should. That's why I said the other day, like, we should see if we can meet up, and then we can get everyone in here, you know, together, so everyone gets to know each other as well, other than just being in calls every now and then. But also, I guess, for other people to see that it's This is not what I've always been afraid of, honestly.
Is thinking that my producer name is just Heat. Yes.
No, not that. Becoming the guru.
Too late.
I hate that, bro. That's why I didn't want to be the face anymore, because I was the only one doing all the promotional stuff and the videos and everything. But I hate being seen or possibly seen as the guru because we got so many talented people involved that all make up for the success of this company, that help every single person out there. It's never just one person. Yeah, I got my knowledge, you got your knowledge, Chris got mad skills, you know. So yeah, I guess it's good that you're the face now, but I feel like people should see other faces soon.
Yeah, I mean, people deserve to see everybody else. I think Chris is like the unsung hero with how much shit he has done too.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So it's just always so tough. So you just want me to be the guru? Okay, I got it now. But I think
no.
I mean, it's just really interesting as to where I've never felt like we've ever gotten that. And even if, I mean, I've gotten comments before where people see the ad that we were originally running before, where it's like, hey, you want to sell beats online? Which, I mean, I have to say that, guys. I have to. Okay, it's marketing. I got to say that.
True.
And so I think what we've done and what a lot of people have noticed, and I think never really give us that guru status, is we've shown up to the plate every fucking Friday and are just like, here's a tip, here's a tip, here's a tip. And I get so many voice messages of like, yo, like, I've watched videos before where it's like the same thing over and over, but like I can tell that like you fully understand this. And like, I think the organic content has always shown people, and I'm always like, when people comment that, I'm like, go watch 5 videos. Pick 5 videos at random and tell me like you're not impressed. And so I think
that's true.
The way,
but it's also because last year, like we spoke, you, me, but also me and Chris, we spoke a lot about what content to monetize, you know, and we fully stepped away from even categorizing that. You know, sure, there are certain resources and tools that we provide that we cannot just give away for free. But in terms of content and information, why would you put information behind a paywall? So basically what we do with the YouTube channel is providing value, but giving different giving different tips and strategy, where in the course it's more actionable, you know. So and that's a funny thing, like what people usually figure out afterwards is that they don't actually what they actually pay for is us taking them by the hand, and here's where you start. Oh no, you're here, okay, you start here, then you do this, then you do that, then you're here, then you need this tool, then you need this template, and we basically speed up the process for people, because I'm not gonna pretend that what we share is not out there. I learn it from other people. So if people do their research and they can put the pieces together, then they will see that everything is part of, you know, what's been developed over the years and just general marketing, right? And I feel like that's what the focus should be on, not just for us, but also for other companies within this space, you know, providing something that helps them in their journey, and that should never be information. So more of like, that should be actionable stuff. Do I make sense at all, by the way?
I think as the guy who makes all the videos, yes. Just because I think when I was talking to Dilly, you know, the guy who's made almost like $1 million selling beats and like first bought our course to get started, you know, that guy who's been wildly successful, who started out with our course to get some knowledge. I don't know, you might have heard of him. That course he bought, that was ours. Anyway,
You're a marketing expert.
But I remember him saying, like, and a lot of people say this too, is they want to see how everything works together. Like, they fully want to see the systems in place. Like, We use ActiveCampaign, we use Zapier, we use Google Sheets. Like I'll tell you that. It's just people want to see like how does all of this just like come together into this process of where it's pretty much all automated for a good chunk, and where like you just wait. It's like fishing. It's just like you cast a line out there and you just wait for someone to bite, and then you just reply to them. And so I think people are always just like, they just want to see like what that back end structure looks like. And I think the YouTube channel does do as well, is it kind of makes people aware of what we're doing. And just people want to see like, how is that all put together? Like, what does that look like in a successful form?
Yeah, because the reason why like a lot of guys drop these screenshots in the Wins channel is they got their actions laid out for them, so they can take action in a more efficient way, I guess. So they reach that sale quicker.
Yeah.
So we're just speeding up the process. Basically, they could do that on their own. They could, dabble around, research everything, try this, try that. But with like an actionable and an efficient system, it all goes a lot quicker. And I guess that's definitely worth something, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right. I mean, that's all I've got. I mean,
yeah. It's enough for today. We could talk about more specific topics in depth in other videos. But like I said, I can go on all day if you want. There's too much in my head.
Sounds familiar. All right, guys. Peace out.